everybody, welcome to an episode of the Morning Metro. It is March 17th, 2018. I almost messed it up again. We are, of course, your hosts, Grid21 and Gertron. And I also like to actually introduce, he joins us by audio, one of the original hosts of what actually used to be called the Metro Cast. I'd like to please introduce, if y'all could please give a warm welcome to Hikari.
That's me.
Welcome, Hikari. Welcome. How does it feel to be a sort of a retro guest of sorts to the show?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Single word. I'm feeling thank you.
I feel a thank you. All right. Cool. Well, as usual, we've got of course, a packed show and stuff. But how are you, gentlemen, this evening? How's your evening going?
I'm doing fantastic. I've been playing some Warframe. Finally got a Volt Prime today, so now I'm happy about that.
Very nice, very nice. Hikari, what about yourself? I think over there is St. Patrick's Day, as I recall, right, Hikari?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I went out and didn't drink at all. So I'm completely sober and there's no problems here. Nothing's gonna happen.
Oh, this should make for a very interesting show. I myself, I had to visit the tax man apparently today not because I'm in trouble, but because I actually need something professionally managed that was out of my unforeseeable, controllable future and stuff. So that's been taken care of.
Again.
No. I just had to make sure things were all straightened up and together and stuff. So.
Oh, and on a side note, Grid.
Yes.
I did end up watching the Dear Dictator movie last night.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
And it was okay. I mean, it wasn't the best movie I've ever seen, but it was okay. It had some humorous points in it.
Cool. It sounded like an interesting movie when we talked about it, so I'm glad it actually turned out to be good for you. But without further ado, let us go ahead and jump into our articles, as usual. And I think, let's see who's on the first. This is up to Gertron now to take this first story, if you would, please. Take it away.
Well, it was a breaking news alert as far as I'm concerned. FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe was terminated.
Rip.
As in fired. Because he lied to the FBI and did a whole bunch of crazy stuff that he knew he wasn't supposed to do.
Rip.
So now we get into this here on this page. Former FBI Deputy Director Andy McCabe was fired Friday from the federal government just 2 days before he was set to retire. Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced in a statement late Friday night. Nearly 24 hours earlier, McCabe was inside the Justice Department making the case to keep his job until Sunday when he officially qualifies for retirement benefits. His firing means his full pension, built after nearly 22 years in government, is in jeopardy.
Rip.
And from what I understand, it's about a $2 million pension that he was going to get.
That is rough.
Now, while I do believe it is a good idea that he got fired, I do believe he does still deserve some of his pension because I'm sure he wasn't corrupt and crooked the entire time, nearly 22 years he was in the government position. I'm sure he wasn't, doing everything wrong that entire time.
We like to think so.
We like to think so.
Indeed.
Now, Donald Trump has this to say. Andrew McCabe, fired.
You're fired.
Exactly.
You have to do the accent.
You're fired.
Hikari, if you can take that one, please.
I cannot.
You cannot. Okay. Well, Donald Trump states Andrew McCabe, fired. A great day for the hardworking men and women of the FBI. A great day for democracy. Sanctimonious James Comey was his boss and made McCabe look like a choir boy. He knew all about the lies and corruption going on at the highest levels of the FBI. In his statement, Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, right? Is the Attorney General, if I remember correctly?
I believe so.
think so. After an extensive and fair investigation, and according to Department of Justice procedure, the Department Office of Inspector General provided its report on allegations of misconduct by Andrew McCabe to the FBI's Office of Professional Responsibility, as known as the OPR. The FBI's OPR then reviewed the report and underlying documents, issued a disciplinary proposal recommending the dismissal of Mr. McCabe. Both the OIG and the FBI OPR reports concluded that Mr. McCabe had made an unauthorized disclosure to news media and lacked candor, including under oath on multiple occasions.
Oh, good
The
grief.
statement continued. Now, the FBI expects every employee to adhere to the higher standard of honesty, integrity, and accountability. As the OPR proposal stated, all FBI employees know that lacking candor under oath results in dismissal and that our integrity is our brand, Sessions says. Pursuant to Department Order 1202 and based on the report of the Inspector General, the findings of the FBI Office of Professional Responsibility, and the recommendation of the department's senior career official, I have terminated the employment of Andrew McCabe effective immediately.
Ouch.
The Sessions statement stated.
Well, he's out of a
Wow.
job.
Yep, and he's not retiring.
You're fired.
There you go. Okay. Now, one of McCabe's statements here, which I found interesting, the OIG's focus on me in this report became a part of an unprecedented effort by the administration, driven by the president himself, to remove me from my position, destroy my reputation. I'm sorry, you did that to yourself.
Right?
We didn't destroy your reputation. The president destroyed your reputation. You chose to lie and do things you knew were against your policy.
Plot twist.
It's just crazy.
Well, oh man. So to kind of summarize, so he basically, I guess, had information that he withheld and then misrepresented that information just before he was going to retire, then basically is how this plays out, sounds like. I'm trying to understand.
That's about it. I mean, he leaked the information to the media, which he was not supposed to do. That's against policy and against the law, according to their... And also lying under oath, basically. From what I understand, one of the incidents was all about the FISA report.
FISA report, yes.
That entire thing was just a bunch of hogwash, and he supported it, and he knew it was a bunch of hogwash. Now, of course, McCabe is still denying any wrongdoing. He still doesn't think he did anything wrong.
Right.
Which, of course, people in jail, they always say, well, I'm innocent.
People always like to say that they never did anything wrong. It's like, come on, just please. You just,
Bunch of twaddle.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Hikari, what do you think listening to all of this? I know you're from Ireland originally, but I mean, just as someone who's not part of this country, how does this look to you listening to all of this craziness?
I don't know. It's weird. America's a weird place.
That it is.
Yeah. Basically, what
See, I have no
what part of the world are
background
you
of it.
from?
I'm in Ireland.
Ireland. Okay. Let's say I don't know. You have police chiefs, I'm assuming.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay. So let's say you have your police chief, and then you have your deputy that's right under them. They're like the second in command. Or in our country, kind of like the president and then the vice president. But this is kind of like the FBI. McCabe's basically the vice president, so to speak, and in charge of this huge organization called the FBI.
I got that much. But
Yeah.
the problem with the FBI is that the nature of it, we don't have a huge amount of background of what else McCabe has done. So I don't know. This is the first I've heard about it. Other than the thought that he was going to be fired. Other than that, I'd never heard his name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of us wouldn't have heard his name if it they hadn't put themselves in the limelight, so to speak.
Yes. So, I mean, it kind of gets frustrating after a while, the amount of like constant corruption that just ultimately just keeps getting larger and larger and larger, and you're just kind of like, why? What purpose? I mean, yes, we all have personal agendas, I get it, but like to go the lengths to the point of costing you your job, that's not.
Is this the same FBI guy that was investigating Trump, or was that a different one?
Of them. James Comey is basically, from understanding, McCabe's boss, and James
so they
Comey
both
was
been
one
fired.
of the.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, James Comey was fired not too long ago. I mean, it was just McCabe was closely in line
towards the end of last year, I think.
Yeah. So it's crazy, and there's going to be even more people getting in trouble. And at some point, from what I understand, it's not going to be enough that people are just getting fired from their jobs. They're actually thinking about actual criminal charges to where these people might actually be spending time in jail.
And I mean,
at the end of Trump's term, there's just not going to be any FBI left, is there?
No, there is going to be FBI left, but the hope is that the new people that take the positions are going to take their jobs a little more seriously and not be as crooked. Though, as we all know,
I mean, anybody could be, anybody can go subject of corruption, no matter if they're. I mean, they could start out fine, suddenly like where they are, and then suddenly flip tables, be like, oh, never mind, I enjoyed being a peaceable person, but now I'm going to cause trouble because personal agenda once again, as usual. So
now, I'm going to throw one extra thing in. This particular page where I got this information from, there was a video at the top that played automatically.
Yes.
Which basically was talking about how Trump has been firing a lot of people and hiring new people to take people's spots. They're all like, oh, there's turmoil in the White House because Trump keeps firing people and then hiring new people to take their spots. And no other president has done this so often as Trump. But the thing is, he's running the White House like a business. In a business, people get fired and new people come in. I mean, it's like a revolving door in businesses because they want to they want to keep picking new people until they get it right. I personally think he's doing exactly what a businessman does.
And some of these people who have been in office, for example, and Gertrude, you posted this on Facebook about a couple weeks ago. I did see that post where you posted about that a president can only serve 2 terms, as I recall, and then but you look at politicians and other people of power, and they serve multiple terms without any repercussions of them being in long-term office and stuff. And so, in a way, to kind of have some what I'm going to call quote unquote fresh new leadership of sorts in very important organizations such as the FBI, this is actually kind of healthy for our country, even though it may look kind of controversial because, oh my gosh, to them we're firing people, but in a good way. It's like you have to kind of prune the castle, and like get things rearranged so that they work functionally. It works where it's supposed to.
Well, see, another thing is a lot of the time, when somebody got into a government position, they were pretty much set. They didn't have to worry about getting fired. I mean, that's kind of how it's been. I mean, it was rare to see somebody get fired. So they really didn't care sometimes about doing their job because they're like, hey, I'm getting paid anyway, so who cares if I actually do my job?
Right.
But now that, Trump's in there like, hey, if you don't do your job, guess what? You're out. It's going to make them think twice before they decide to just sit back, relax, and do nothing.
Yeah, that's understandable. Hikari, thoughts on this at all? Do you have any more?
See, the problem with this sort of thing is that I have to sort of approach it as an outsider, but as well, like, I normally wouldn't touch America politics with a 50-foot barge pole because that is a terrifying topic.
I agree. I completely understand. Yes. So
no,
it's crazy. I mean, if he feels like this is what he needs to be done, then it's what needs to be done. And unfortunately, each president is allowed to run their terms and policies as they see fit. And apparently, this is how Trump has seen fit. So. But with that out of the way, we're going to head and move right along down the article train. And again, this looks like another story from Gertron, if you would be so kind to take this one.
Okay, so U.S. Army tanks getting futuristic shields to destroy incoming threats. The U.S. Army M1 Abrams tanks are being upgraded with a sort of an invisible shield to destroy incoming anti-tank missiles and other threats before reaching the tank. Known as Trophy, this cutting-edge technology will provide M1 Abrams tanks with 360-degree protection from threats. Since the 1950s, the Army has been determined to give tanks something called active protection systems. The goal of these sorts of systems is to stop incoming projectiles before they even reach the tank, creating a sort of invisible shield around them, which I think is a great idea.
Star Trek, here we come.
Exactly. Oh boy. Now.
Yeah, that's the problem with this article. Nick. When it says, tanks get futuristic shields, my mind is automatically going to like a massive force field surrounding the tank.
I know, right?
Indeed.
Star Trek, Star Wars, that all works.
Right.
Now, several relevant militaries have already equipped some of their tanks with active protection systems. Russia is one country that has been aggressively ramping up their tanks and other assets with active protection systems like Trophy. They've also armed them with deep arsenal of anti-armor weapons that can seriously damage or destroy the target tank in spite of its armor. In the US, in addition to the iconic Abrams tanks, the Army is upgrading a number of other combat vehicles. The Abrams M1A2 SEP V3
That's a long name.
I know, right? They like their long names. Provide a significant improvement. This latest version of Abrams delivers a better whole armor and turrets. They also feature enhanced radio systems and power generation amongst other enhancements. So,
I just have one question. Do these tanks is this upgrade a microtransaction?
Possibly.
EA. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
And I have one.
It's through loot boxes.
Oh.
So maybe you get the trophy system, or maybe just get a dongle.
Right.
Yeah, like you either get a nice, force field, or you get like a hat for the tank.
Right.
It's gonna be great.
Now, some of you might be wondering, what is a trophy? I've been talking about this trophy system, and
it's an achievement.
Well,
Trophy
the
get.
tank has won an Oscar.
Yes. Yeah, congratulations,
exactly.
Tank. Hey. You won an Oscar. Continue. Sorry.
The Trophy Active Protection System, aka Windbreaker, gives tanks 360 degrees coverage. The system includes 4 antennas and 2 rotating launchers mounted on the tank. If an enemy launches a weapon, like an anti-tank missile, at a U.S. Army tank protected with Trophy, radar or sensors recognize and locate the incoming threat. Tracking radar identifies what kind of threat has been launched at the tank and distinguishes a rocket from an anti-tank missile, for example. Trophy instantaneously works out where the weapon would strike. If the missile will strike the tank, then it swings into action and protects the soldiers.
Very cool. This reminds me of an article that we took. We talked about, I don't know, perhaps a month or two ago. It was talking about lasers, and I love the fact that Hikari in the chat. They were talking about laser technology, and I am once again blown away by how quickly technology has been advancing over the last several months. Anything from laser focused technology to now shield generators. Essentially, these are shield generators for tanks. And what better place to put them than on a tank? Now I'm waiting for the aircraft carrier, or like aircraft fighter jets, to have shields, around them and stuff. So that's very cool. The only downside that I see is the fact that this is public knowledge, and our enemies are probably reading this information. So now they know what to do.
Well,
Just saying.
What if it's just for bragging rights?
It could be for bragging rights, yeah.
And I mean, they
There
would
might
have
be
found
more
out
we
eventually.
don't know about.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, really, the important question is when are we invading Mars?
When are we invading Mars?
We set the car up, and that was grand and all. Now, so next stage is of course send the tank up. Sure.
Send it towards Mars with the crew on board. Couple good shots, we'll take out Mars.
We put lasers on the tanks, and Mars is gonna pay for them.
Oh.
That's great. That's really great. No, but I mean, honestly, like this is really cool. Honestly, that this is becoming a thing that weapons technology has gotten that large now. Unfortunately, of course, this is obviously used for a weapon of war. Positive things I could think of is perhaps think of a natural disaster of some sort where you could use like force field type shields to protect whole cities. Perhaps if, I don't know, there must have been some kind of weird natural disaster, an asteroid, for example, or if our enemies decide to attack us at our home front, imagine putting up like a whole like sky like shield system that if you remember the scene from Stargate Atlantis, they had the big ancient chair with the shield to go over the entire city. That's what that would remind me of.
Atlantis.
Yeah.
Yep, that'd be cool.
And welcome Xanawu to the show. This is the Morning Metro Evening Edition. Hikari or Gertron, any other thoughts about this?
As technology gets better and better, I honestly think it won't be too long until we start seeing actual Star Trek based technology. I can't wait till teleporters.
I'm still waiting for the teleporters. That is the biggest one I'm definitely waiting for. That and Star Trek like medicine and medical system basically is what I'm still that's gonna be amazing.
You're sick? Here. See, you're better.
Doctor gave me a new kidney.
It only took them 5 seconds.
Yes. Text with this. Oh, that's hilarious. Thank you, Hikari. But anyway, yeah, that's gonna be pretty great. And actually, this is a good segue to our next article talking about bitcoins. Bitcoin's win over small business to cut credit card fees. And this is apparently an article that I wrote, actually. So let's see if I can do this. FoxNewsBusiness.com report is saying the cryptocurrency craze has spread to small businesses like Rancho Fresco Mexican Grill, a restaurant in Modesto, California that began accepting Thank you. Modesto, California that began accepting Bitcoin as payment about a year ago. Let's see. Bitcoin offers specific benefits to businesses and its bottom line. It spares Rancho Fresco from paying credit card fees that can total $3,000 each month. My gosh.
Wow.
That is ridiculous.
That's redonkulous.
That is absolutely redonkulous. Anyway, owner Ismail Karav. I can't even pronounce this man. How do you pronounce this man? Last man's this
owner Ismail
Curvabias, I believe so, told Fox 40 in Santa Monica. It definitely helps because if someone pays in Bitcoin, I don't have to pay any more. I don't have to pay anyone anything of that Bitcoin. It goes directly to my business, he said. So far, only a few customers take advantage of payment option each week. Karabias said not 85% of payments come from credit cards. The restaurant is just the latest small business to welcome Bitcoin payments from customers. For instance, a growing list of restaurants and in Dallas and New York City have begun accepting Bitcoin, according to New York Magazine. Larger companies are also jumping into the mix. Tillman Fertitta, the CEO restaurant group Laundries told Money that his company is exploring the idea of Bitcoin payments at entrees such as Eateries, thank you. I don't know why I'm reading this wrong. Eateries such as Rainforest Cafe and Morton's the Steakhouse. Overstock.com became the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin in 2014. Expedia allows travelers to book hotel rooms using Bitcoin, and Microsoft customers can use Bitcoin to add money to their accounts when buying games, movies, and other digital products. And there's some other information here. While more businesses are giving Bitcoin a test run, critics have questioned whether the world's largest cryptocurrency will gain widespread acceptance as a trusted form of payment. And of course, we've already had Bitcoin once as it is collapse because of inflation back in early 2000 because so many people were mining it and such. So it's while Bitcoin seems like interesting in concept, I don't know if it's really something we should still be accepting, widespread or not. Gentlemen, thoughts, please.
I don't envy the person that has to deal with those transactions because, they come into the shop and whatever they buy is worth 0.0000000 whatever, 14 Bitcoin.
Right.
Then by the time they leave the shop, it's changed, so it's now worth whatever 0018.
Right.
Something like that, and then it just gets really confusing and really angry.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoins. They need to stay on Twitch. That's all I gotta say.
That's bits. That's just Twitch bits. But yes.
Hey, think Bitcoin bits.
Well, a bit on Twitch is 1 cent. It's not a Bitcoin. It's actually a cent. So it's actually actual money.
Well, Bitcoins. I mean, seriously, come on, really? No. I will never use Bitcoins. Because
I feel like that it's a digital currency. It's not based off of something like originally, obviously, the U.S. dollar used to be based off of gold, and when we were taking off the gold standard, the value of our money has of course gone down. Inflation has now gone up, obviously. So now that that's a thing, obviously, our money is probably has no more worth than perhaps a Bitcoin has itself. But at least as far as physical money, it could still be based off of something. It still represents some kind of value.
And 1 Bitcoin actually equals $7,801.32.
As of right now, as of 2018.
Quite low.
And I'm looking at the record here of it's actually a chart here, and it showed that it peaked in 2018, but it's sharply going down.
I think it was at some point 20,000 or just under.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it in euros. One second.
Okay, so this will be interesting to see how it looks in euros for Hikari since he's in a different country.
Euros. Euro is $6,344.34. Well, I meant euros, not dollars, but yeah.
I don't know. Bitcoin has been such an interesting topic recently. It feels more like it's trendy than something that I would actually seriously consider putting my time in. It feels more like a trendy thing.
And you see, really, only rich people would actually be able to use this. I mean, come on. 1 Bitcoin.
You can buy it in whatever division of it you want. Like you can buy 0. Then 16 O's 1 if you wanted to.
But us people with OCD that have to have a solid number before I get it, I would have to have 1 Bitcoin. That would be my goal. And I'm sorry, but I don't know about you. I don't got 7,000.
I'm never not gonna hate Bitcoin because I sold mine when it was worth 600, and then it went a little bit insane, and yeah,
That was fun.
And I also would like to say too that you know, when you look at how Bitcoin is actually mined, obviously by using GPUs, there's actual dedicated boxes for mining Bitcoin. TechQuickie and Lions Tech Tips have covered this particular subject numerous times. You know, the fact that it's a currency that you mine, it's sort of it's like Bitcoin, as I think as somebody described it, is like the gold rush of, you know, several years ago when they discovered there was gold in the mountains and everything, and then everybody went berserk, and then something happened and just, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, somehow the idea of mining a currency versus one that has been established for as long as anybody can really remember. Now, I understand that a lot of people said that, like, Bitcoin is decentralized, as I recall. So it's not based off of any, like, one particular, like, standard of thing. It's just, it is a thing. You can use it literally universally anywhere in any country without having to do any conversions, whether you're converting your US dollars to euros or the yen or anything like that and stuff. So I can understand why people want to go for it. It's just that, like, if you've already had a inflation once already for Bitcoin, I would hate to have it, use it, and then one day find it's not worth anything. Whereas at least with the dollar, the US dollar, it's still something that is of some value of some sort. So that is basically, you know, what feels sketchy to me for this. I don't know. Am I crazy? What do you guys think?
I don't know. I'm just looking. Go ahead, Hikari.
No, I was just going to say that the big problem with it is that it's such a new thing that hasn't really been done before. And that you have to make the comparisons like, oh, it's like, you know, gold was. It's like whatever it was. But really, like, the comparisons are kind of pointless because it isn't like anything that we've had before. Yeah. Like, there's no point in making comparisons to things like that.
Good
if
point.
I was smart, last year, this time, March 19th last year, a Bitcoin was worth $1,017 roughly. And if I was smart, I would have gone ahead, bought myself one singular Bitcoin, and then waited until, and let me get the date on here, December 16th of 2017, when one Bitcoin was worth $19,000.
That's still a substantial gamble, though.
Yeah.
It's not even a case of being smart. It's a case of being incredibly lucky.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'm looking at the chart right now. The more
or having time travel.
It is going down. So honestly, I don't think Bitcoins are going to do anything. I think it was a fad, and here in a couple years, it's just going to be off the table.
Possible.
I don't think so. There's enough incentive for Bitcoin to work that I don't think it will die off. Now, unfortunately, a lot of that incentive is really shady, but I don't think it's going to die off, partly just because of that, because it's completely untraceable.
Okay. Are we saying that the criminal organizations will be the ones to use Bitcoin?
Sure. Yeah, sure. They're gonna save the planet by getting us all on Bitcoin.
Right. I like to point to a comment here in chat. Enderwolf says Bitcoins equals disguised lottery.
Pretty much. See, the problem is I've not been super active with the whole cryptocurrency thing. Like, as far as currency, I recently found out that I can pay for things with my phone. Like, you know, where you tap your phone. I had no idea of this, and I had it for like 4 years.
That's surprising to me, Hikari, considering the fact that you are one of the most techie people that I know beside Gertron here, actually. So I'm kind of surprised that, like, 4 years later, you discovered that your phone has tap and pay.
Well, I didn't know it was in this country yet.
Oh, that's understandable. Okay. Yeah. Then yes, in that case, okay, I can make an allowance for the fact that yeah, okay, fair enough.
Normally we get things like 5 years later.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We didn't even get the iPhone until a year after it came out.
Wow. That's crazy.
We only got the 3G, you know.
Nuts. Well, moving on down the article train, and just another example of companies selling information. PayPal, the 600 companies PayPal shares with your shares your data with. One of the efforts of the GDPR, the new EU General Data Protection Regulation, that is a long name, is...
It's also horrible.
Oh, really?
A lot of work has to go into like a bunch of companies. Like pretty much, you have to keep now like a record of something. I think it's like 7 years or something. And you have to get complete records of your company for the last 7 years. So any sort of data loss is completely catastrophic now.
Oh wow.
So in this particular very short article, actually, is that we're all going to be learning a lot more about who collects our data and what they do with it. Consider PayPal, that just released a list of over 600 companies that share customer data with. Here's a good visualization of that data. So I brought up the article, and I had to zoom in because it was very small print. Because
Yeah,
you know.
it's just about
Because, you know, as if we weren't like, you know, like blind enough as it is. Oh, gosh. So, you know, the classic customer service, outsourcing, financial products, commercial partnerships, marketing and public relations, you know, optional services, group companies, etc. These are the kind of things that PayPal shares with and stuff. And then to go further along, there is a list of list of third companies other than PayPal customers with whom personal information may be shared. And it's a very long, I'm not going to go through this whole long list because it is actually several pages long, and in fact it is so long that the little scroll butt icon is actually very tiny. It would take forever to go through all of it, but I will just basically briefly scrub through that. But while I do all this scrolling, I mean, like, should this really surprise us anymore that companies just constantly share all this data? I mean, like, why is, again, another one of the concepts of why is this now coming out when they've been doing it for years kind of a concept? We've talked about this on the show. Thoughts?
You know, everybody knows that companies share information. I mean, it's a given now. And heck, they have assigned all these sort of contracts before even doing it. Even games have their big EULA that we have to sign terms of services and whatnot. And I bet you about 95% of the people that go ahead and check the box saying I agree haven't even read the whole thing. I don't read the whole thing. I mean,
I'd gamble 99 or higher. I don't think anyone reads it.
Exactly. So, I mean, I bet you every single company that has any sort of internet access at all, and even probably most of the companies that don't have internet access, share our information regardless. I mean, right now, stream right now on Discord, if we took the video out and the whole Twitch streaming thing off, what we're talking about right now on Discord is probably being recorded somewhere and being shared.
I mean, if anything, obviously it's being shared up to Twitch because we have viewers in chat, obviously. Hello, Love Disney. Welcome to the show as well in the chat. But like, yeah, like, I mean, it's kind of like, I worry about data collection, but then it's like at the same time, I don't. And here's my philosophies behind this. Google has been doing data collection ever since probably Google's been around. I mean, they had to design their algorithm to know what websites were on the internet. That is a form of data sharing. Okay. Then they, they came up with their own phone and their own operating system, and that had services. That is also data sharing. And then Apple came along. Of course, Apple's been longer than Google, obviously, technologically, historically speaking. Then Apple comes along and they have their iCloud services, and everybody was okay with that. And then Microsoft came with Windows 10, and everybody flipped. But then I sat and thought to myself, but wait, they've been doing it for years.
Flipped at Facebook.
That's true.
Or Microsoft.
And see, and again, like, I don't like. Again, this goes back to the concept of why is this suddenly now an issue? Go ahead.
The problem is that it's gotten like it wouldn't really have been an issue if it was, if it wasn't used to try and sell us stuff. But you're hearing about people talking about something. And then seeing it, talking about something face to face, and then seeing an ad for that thing, whatever obscure thing, the next day on their Facebook feed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's gotten really creepy now.
Well,
That's why people now care.
Well, an example of this actually is, and this kind of is an interesting point. There's been instances where I have used my, for example, I was looking at my mixer board on Amazon before I bought it. Went to Guitar Center, bought it, brought it home, set it up. Okay, I've had this thing for a good part of a couple weeks. What I noticed was interesting. Okay, now I use Google Chrome generally. Except for when I'm streaming, I use Firefox because it's a lighter load on my operating system. But I generally use Chrome, and I have an Amazon account. So Amazon, looks at what you look at and everything, and they'll send you weekly emails, which I always end up deleting anyway. But there was an instance where I had Chrome on my phone, and I'm visiting a website that is completely unrelated to shopping. And all of a sudden I see an advertisement for the Yamaha MG10XU mixer board that I just bought a couple weeks ago. And I sat and thought to myself, that is creepy that I looked at this on Amazon, and now this is that they know all that and are able to punch it literally everywhere you go, and you didn't even ask them to do it, and they did anyway. And I see there's some memeing going on in the Discord chat, apparently. But yeah, so when your parents ask where all the RAM went, there's a picture of people with Google Chrome on their the Google Chrome logo on their face. That's hilarious. Anyway, so have you guys ever experienced the whole we know what you were looking at, and here's some products for us to sell to you, gentlemen? Any instances of this?
All the time. All the time. In fact,
I'm trying my best.
Continue.
I'm trying my best to go ahead and get myself away from services that do take your data for whatever reason. But it's really difficult considering that everyone is doing it now. So it's next to impossible to actually get off of all that without just getting off the internet altogether.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as a content creator, I can't. I have to figure out how to. I have to figure out how to market myself, and I have to be not only a friend entertainer, but also a product in a way, which is terrible. So I have to market myself, which is part of being an entrepreneur of sorts. So, I understand business people have to get paid, business have to get paid. And actually, this is going to be a beautiful segue. Honestly, I love how the show just unintentionally segues. It's great. But it's annoying that this has just been a widely accepted. We are desensitized to this, and then it gets even worse when we realize that government entities have ways of infiltrating our computers, unknowingly and stuff. So it just continually gets progressively worse, and it's just oh my gosh, why do we even talk about this anymore? It's just basically a thing. So but speaking of things that are a thing and companies that are too giant for their own good, Toys R Us going out of business. Wait, I have some sad violin music, hold on.
Oh no. The real sad story here is, why are all these articles really tiny? 210% zoom and I still can't see it.
See, I can see it fine. I'm on my 30-inch screen, so I'm good.
I have 20s.
I'm running native 4K.
I don't know what to tell you.
Hikari's been kind of the extra voice in this here. Would you like to take this particular article? I don't know if you have Toys R Us in Ireland or not, or if you ever did. Do you want to take this, or should?
I don't believe we ever did.
All right, then I will have to actually take this.
No context for this article.
All right.
I'm going to throw in there. We did we did on the stream last night call out to Toys R
Yes.
Us and talk to one of their representatives. And we
400 words a minute.
Yeah. Oh no, that was Amazon. Toys R Us was great. We called Amazon lit then,
And it was like this.
Because, yeah.
I did like how they were like trying to sell their services to Midway.
Anyway, yes, but unfortunately, yes, the classic toy store, Toys R Us, and also I believe the Babies R Us, is unfortunately going out of business, which is absolutely horrible. They're closing. In January, Toys R Us announced plans to close up to 182 stores in its U.S. stores, including 11 in New Jersey. It began going out of business sales at those stores in February. In the weeks that followed the announcement, excuse me, reports from sources about the retailer's situation got progressively worse, with insiders saying that the vendors were not being paid and that employees were worried about the company couldn't meet its payroll. Ooh. Apparently it sounds like mismanagement, actually similar to what NCIX happened in Canada, actually. Toys R Us is a nostalgic favorite, even as many shoppers moved on to Amazon, and huge chains like Walmart plans to close up 100. Okay, that's from the. All right, that's just a little snippet here. For most of its 70-year history, that's amazing for a store to be around 70 years. Toys R Us was the company that put other toy chains out of business. It outlasted KB Toys, Zanny Brainy, Noodle Kid Cadoodle. It bought and later sold FAO Schwartz, which I'm not sure what that is actually. But it lasted on its laurels for too long, missing the sea change that Amazon was bringing to the retail industry, and ultimately it was felled by many of the same problems plaguing other traditional retail chains. Too many stores, too large and outdated for digital age, coupled with the more singular problem of a mountain of debt that it struggled to pay back. Wow. Sounds...
Are they only closing the US stores?
I do not know.
They have a substantial number in the UK, I think.
I actually don't know. Gertron is looking it up, but the part about...
They're closing both all U.S. and U.K. stores.
Ouch.
Looks like they're closing down every Toys R Us store all around. And by the way, you would ask what the FAO Schwartz was. That was founded in 1862, and it was the oldest toy store in the United States.
Ah, okay. It is interesting, actually. Apparently, Toys R Us shuttered. Oh man, I love when I cannot read. It's great. Well, basically, there were dozens of stores that had been, I guess, shut down or such. To deal with close to $5 billion in debt that resulted from leverage beyond 2005. So apparently the debt, and again, as I mentioned earlier, the digital age and not be able to keep up with stores like Amazon and stuff was ultimately what brought the company down. And actually, very similar, as I mentioned earlier, NCIX.com in Canada also had the same relative issue where they had a lot of an overexplosion of Canadian and U.S. stores. In fact, actually, one of the there's a video about it on Linus Tech Tips channel in one of their episodes of the WAN show where they talked about the sort of the insider's look of the show, or not the show, of the company. And apparently, at one point, NCIX had 5 stores in one singular central location, which is ridiculous. I mean, and apparently the population was actually very small in that particular area. But it's just interesting to see the similarities, or I don't really have a point. I just think that's just interesting. Thoughts, guys, on this, if you would. If you have any.
I remember going to Toys R Us when I was a kid.
As do I.
And it was great. It was a fun place to go. That's where we went to Christmas shopping and whatnot. But now I see people going to Walmart and going on Amazon, buying their toys online, and I can see why Toys R Us dropped, is because of all these other massive companies coming in and doing what Toys R Us did, but on a lower price scale and on a more mass output and ease to get to. I mean, it's sad, but it's just kind of the way things are.
Yeah, that is. I remember going to Toys R Us myself as a kid. That's where I always went to bought a new Lego set, actually. And I actually saw some of those original Lego sets that I bought at Toys R Us in a drawer here. And actually, speaking of just sort of places that are we're going out of business, the mall that Toys R Us was probably formerly located at, that particular mall, like give you an idea, there's an actual mall location near me where there used to be literal, like, I don't know, 30 odd stores or more in one area, that the entire, like I have a photo of this, but there's a whole rows of sections where there are no stores and vacant areas, and the only thing sitting there is Toys R Us and the Vitamin World store and something else, and that's what's sitting left in this mall. And it's just a real visual commentary of how much online store and online shopping has literally affected the physical buildings that once represented products that you would buy physically. It's really substantial, honestly, and pretty disappointing.
It's similar to it was like a VHS rental place that, eventually...
Blockbuster.
Yeah. We didn't have that here, but we had, similar companies doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They all went out of business for essentially the same reason, that, okay, I don't really want to get off the couch. Oh, here's 15
Netflix
devices that I can just use to do exactly the same thing. And it's pretty much the same thing, you just order it in right to your door,
Now,
especially with Amazon Prime next day and stuff.
And I am going to point out here that you were talking about malls.
Yes.
Malls are also going out of style.
Yeah.
They're closing.
I still love a good mall, though. I really do. I'm retro.
Malls are great, but they're going out of business.
Yeah.
There are not many malls out there that are still thriving. I mean, you have malls that are open, but no malls that are truly thriving.
You kind of have to, if malls do stay around, you kind of have to then redefine what is their purpose for them being there, because they have to stay relevant in some way, shape, or form. And granted, there are some companies that they don't have an online store. They are a physical store, and sometimes you can only get. But here's what's the most frustrating thing about online shopping is that there are certain products. And I can relate to this. There are certain products that you would used to be able to get in a physical store that you sometimes can't find online, or you go to a physical store and say, like, I don't know, there's a particular type of cereal that I would want, but that company stopped selling the cereal because somebody up in the upper chain echelon said, no, we're not going to sell this particular type of cereal anymore. And then I have to go to Amazon. Or I think Alibaba is the European version, I think, of Amazon, or it's the Asian version of Amazon, I believe. You have to go to one of those two places, more likely Amazon, to get the product that you want. And I just go on.
As the guy on the phone, whenever you called Amazon, as he said, Amazon is the European version of Amazon. They're everywhere.
They're listening. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Except they're not in Ireland. Thanks, Amazon.
What? Amazon's not in Ireland?
No, we have to buy from the UK store, but we can't have like Amazon Prime or anything like that. So we have to wait like a week for anything we buy off there.
Oh my gosh. That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
It's a real tragedy.
You got a little quiet, Hikari. Mind if you bring your mic closer? No, not like that. It's not like a radio voice there. But yeah, no, I mean, that is just really, I'm sorry, Amazon. I'm sorry. Wow. brain. I'm programmed to say Amazon. I'm sorry, Toys R Us. We love you. You were amazing. Let's have a round of applause for Toys R Us really quick.
I didn't really know you, but you seem kind of good.
It's like that uncle that everybody told you about. He was really, really cool. Did all these great things, but you never got to meet him, but you still looked up to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Might have seen a picture every now and then. Just like, that's what he looks like.
All right. Yep. And I guess sort of thinking, and unfortunately, also the bad part is that is now a lot more people out of work too, which is not really that's frustrating too. So they're out of work. So I feel for them. So
And it was going so well.
I know, right? But I mean, if they were having trouble with payroll stuff too, I mean that is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Because it said in the article that was one of their issues was payroll, and not for them not be able to. So apparently, it's not that they necessarily got bought out or couldn't sustain themselves. It's that because they made poor financial choices, is what it sounds like from the article. So,
Although at the same time, it could just be completely just lack of business.
Yeah, it could have been too.
Like it could just be like, okay, I could go to Toys R Us where it'd be crowded and whatever, or I could just search what I'm looking for and have it tomorrow.
True. So it could have been a combination of things essentially. So, but that is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and move down the article train, and I see it's gonna be an extended episode of TMM, but that's perfectly fine because you guys never get sick of hearing us, right? A 68-year-old woman catches 130-pound monster. Wait, I have to do this. Monster fish on a casual trip. Sorry. When and I'm gonna have to hopefully say her name. When 60-year-old Sue Elcott ventured out on a deep-sea fishing trip to keep her son company, she probably wasn't expecting to reel in a 130-pound monster fish bigger than herself. And the photos of this are really substantial. It's crazy. During an early morning excursion while visiting her son Simon and his wife Michelle at their Perth, Australia home, Elcock told the Sun she felt a tug on her line and she knew she caught a fair size fish. Oh yeah, fair size. The petite Englishwoman said she was shocked as its sheer size as it emerged from the ocean off the coast of Lanseal, I think is how you pronounce the area. There's actually a video here. I don't know if this is actually the video of her catching it. Let's see here if we could.
You got on there, mate? Grouper. What do you reckon you got? Good one? Grouper. Grouper? Look at the size of it. Find it in. Find it in. That's what you get when you have 2 beers in the morning. Well done. He's tangled up on it here. Fresh ball, Joey. Fresh ball. You got on there.
Oh wow, that's amazing as she reeled it in. After 40 minutes of reeling, her son and their fellow passengers hauled in the giant bass grouper measuring 5 feet 4 inches long, 2 inches bigger than Elcock herself, the Sun noted. I just couldn't believe the size of it when it reared its head out of the water. It was the size of a sofa. Simon is an experienced sea angler, and I have been out with him before. And when I have been visiting he and Michelle, she divulged of the catch which she made with a 49-year-old Sun's electric reel. The biggest fish I've caught before was a snapper about a foot long, and when this one took the bait at the bottom of the tug on the line, it didn't seem much. So someone's okay.
Hell of a line.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's some more. Someone
That's
said
a big eyeball. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the eyeball. That is huge. I've got to ask. Did she do catch and release? Or did she keep that sucker?
I don't know. Let me
feed
see.
off it for a
Let's
while?
see if it says. It doesn't quite. Let's see. It doesn't appear that they said whether or not she kept it or not. But noted as saying though, once in a lifetime catch, Sue, great job. One Facebook fan commented, she's a legend. Another added. But no, it doesn't say whether or not she threw the thing back. I mean, why would you? I mean, dude, that's enough to feed what, a small army, essentially. That is.
Well, I would assume you.
Oh, okay. Here you go.
Because
Someone said you would need an awful lot of chips to go with fish like that. Ocock joked over fine, but I've helped cut him up and get all the fish into a freezer. Wow. Simon and Michelle will be enjoying fish barbies for months when I'm long back in the UK. So it looks like they did keep it.
Good.
They did cut her up and use.
see, all I was thinking is like that's going to be really interesting to get on the plane. Like you'd have to declare that. That's going to be really.
Oh man.
Really an interesting time.
Is it a carry-on? And can you carry it on?
I don't know.
I suppose it depends on the airline, doesn't it?
I
So
mean,
that'll have to be your main carry-on.
They like to kill puppies, so.
I mean,
see.
oh wow, okay, that's pretty dark.
I mean, it's true. A story that actually happened not even a week ago. A couple went on the airline. They brought their little dog with them, and one of the airline people told them they had to put it up in the overhead compartment. Ran out of oxygen, and the dog died.
Oh boy, that's crazy.
Whose idea was that?
I don't know.
It was not the pet owners. It was one of the airline attendants that told them they had to do that.
I thought it was they put it in the hold. I didn't realize they put it just in the overhead.
Yep.
Because surely someone would have noticed when it stopped making noise.
Well, see, here's the thing. There were people that said they heard it whimpering and barking,
It's
and
a
then all
smell of dead dog.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I know, we kind of went from a happy, joyous story to a story. But the thing is, the FBI and the FAA have cracked down so much on anything that happens on a plane. You can get fined big time if you don't do what the flight attendants tell you to do. So that's probably why nobody got up and said, hey, that's not right, is because they could get arrested for it.
I love the fact we're talking about American airlines in general. And look at the articles that are alongside this story. I'm not going to read them because
I was about to say, have you seen the articles on the right?
Right. We will not be reading those on air.
Wow.
As this,
You like the third one where it's just like, what's going on?
oh boy. Oh man.
Okay.
That's amazing. That is so amazing.
So then technically, isn't it on topic then, since it's still on the same website?
I don't know. I don't know what's in the articles, so I'd rather not read them. But
there's a couple of them I would not want to be opening either.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna head and move on to.
In the interest of keeping this show G-rated,
right?
We're gonna move on.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, what is G-rated?
General audience. General audience
Okay.
PG is parental guidance, and the PG-13 is parental guidance with an adult. And then it goes on from there, and then I think like R is like for like it's really bad, and there's actually X-rated movies, which is really bad.
Oh, X-rated is just straight up nudity.
Oh, that's crazy. Anywho, we're gonna move on.
Different system here, where it's just ages. I think we have PG, but everything else is like 3+, 8+, 13+, 18+.
Oh, interesting. Gertrude, this is your article because it's not marked with my name on it in the doc. Yep. Therefore, you may read it. Or Hikari, again, if you feel like you want to read something, please go ahead and pick an article. I mean, it's you're here too.
This is a really short article, Hikari. If you want to take this, you can open up the source. You can open up my notes and see what I blocked off on it.
Okay.
Which
one is this again?
This is a Google gets 2.4 million requests from Europeans to be forgotten.
Oh yeah, I heard about this briefly.
Oh well, then, and ironically, since you're sort of in the European area, this is actually perfect for you.
Yes. Okay. So Google has been flooded with 2.4 million requests from individuals and companies across Europe to be forgotten. That is, wiped clean from any web search. And this is because of some new EU regulation where we now have the right to be forgotten, which is essentially, it's gone back to the data privacy thing from earlier, where we now have a right to that. So basically, these people are looking to take advantage of the right to be forgotten. Most of the requests came from regular Joes wanting sensitive information like their home address, personal photos or videos. Oh, just home address or personal photos or videos removed from any Google search results. The company said in its annual transparency report released on Tuesday. Oh, I'm bad at articles.
Oh boy.
I thought that was going to be like, it said whatever, but then it's just gone somewhere completely different.
Oh. Yeah,
Okay,
Gertron's note-taking is interesting.
Hey, I just block out text that I think are good. That's it. You still got the full article.
I assume you have...
No, when you zoom in on like Google Images thing, it doesn't actually zoom in, it just zooms in the UI. That's amazing. Anyway, Google said that it has processed 2.08 million of the requests and that 43%, or 900,000, have been deemed valid and have been delisted.
Wow.
The right to be forgotten law has been so popular that a cottage industry appears to have popped up. Companies helping others make the RTBF requests. Roughly 1,000 requesters, mainly law firms and reputation management services, accounted for 360,000 or 15% of all of the RTBF bids, Google said. So it's mad. We're finally getting some form of privacy on the internet. I like it.
Yeah,
nothing super extensive, but at least we can be forgotten about. On one of the 20 search engines.
First of all, thank you, Underworld, for the 50 bits. That is crazy that one ad gave you that many. That's awesome. Do appreciate it. Secondly, right to be forgotten. That's actually, that's okay.
It sounds very morbid.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. So let's talk about this. Do you? Okay. This could be taken from a couple different angles. Is this A, something to be used to restrict freedom of speech, or B, truly used to protect people's user privacy? Which do you guys think it is?
I don't really see how it would be affecting freedom of speech. It's. I would imagine it's more to be affecting someone showing up at your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. That's valid.
Random person showing up at the house.
Gertron.
Yeah, that's not a fun time when that happens, I believe.
Finish up,
That's all I've heard.
Yeah. Gertron, what do you think about this?
I think it's a good idea. The thing is, there's probably not a lot of people that know about this. I mean, of course, companies aren't going to be out there as soon as you decide, hey, guess what? If you want us to know what any of your information is, go ahead and use this. Get rid of it. No. It's going to have to be people who actually know about it and are actually interested in getting their information taken off the web. Honestly, I don't care one way or the other. There's nothing online that I'm ashamed of or don't want people to know, other than, obviously my personal bank account information and whatnot.
Well, yeah.
It's not really about, the whole I don't have anything to hide. If you have something to hide, then, whatever. It's not really about that. It's more about the fact that they're collecting information in the first place that most people are objected to. It's not so much about, I have all this information that I don't want people finding out. It's more just, why are they sort of stalking me on the internet in the first place?
Correct. In light of some of the subjects we've talked about, on this show, from privacy to security to things like that. I mean, it would be nice if some things that I posted, some things that businesses posted was not part of their general data systems. I mean, again, going back to the PayPal article, they have information about me as a PayPal user that for whatever freaking reason is out there, and it's in the general population and stuff, or general internet population and stuff. And it would be nice to have the right to be forgotten law, though I would think I'd call something a little bit, a new Privacy Act. But unfortunately, then that could spark things like, oh, is this, could they come over net neutrality, and it's all the bull crap and blah, blah, blah. And that's all another subject for another day, which we've already talked about extensively on this show before. But, it would be kind of nice to have this, as long as it doesn't affect my ability as a user to go look up something, to learn something, to look up information, whatever. As long as it doesn't affect that, like the spreading of information. But then somebody could ask, okay, well, what is the spreading of information? What could that be categorized as? Well, like certain facts about things, or facts about companies.
It doesn't involve, like, say, news articles and stuff like that, and anything, sort of useful information, like you're saying. It's more like personal details and personal data.
Like your phone number, for instance. You don't want your phone number to be spread about, or you don't want your address to be out there. It's kind of like to a degree. It's probably not going to work this exact way, but no, if you go to Google Maps and you attempt to look at certain national monuments, or like the White House or Pentagon or things like that, but when you start zooming in on them, it's just one big blur, because, well, it's security issues. I want you to actually see what's actually there.
And for some reason, there's no Street View in North Korea.
I wonder why.
I've never actually thought about that, but okay. So I mean, it might be something along those lines, where you're just don't want people to know where you live and what you do and what you have online, which I think is perfectly fine. I don't see what the big huge deal is, but famous people could definitely use it.
Somewhat relevant. What are your guys' thoughts on the smart speakers and Siri and Alexa and all these?
We've talked about that on this show, and I would say that it's a cool concept. It brings us closer to being like, computer, please look up such and such information about blah blah blah, or please run this simulation. Like, again, it goes back to the whole it's Star Trek computer interface concept. The concept is cool. How it works is indeed cool, but what it does with the data after I've asked for it, that is not cool. And actually, there actually is a specific website, and I do not have this website at hand. I'm sure maybe Gertron might have saved it. There's a website that lets you delete all your Google search history through the Google, the OK Google. I hope I didn't say your phone off, by the way, Gertron. The OK Google feature.
Only I can do that. I can only say OK Google, and in the background I can hear it ding.
Right. So I like it. It's a cool concept. I just don't like what it does with it.
Hey, Siri. And it didn't work. Beautiful.
Gertrude, what are your thoughts about the on Hikari's question?
I mean, I still think, to a degree, I can see how it's going to be helpful, but at the same time, it's what it does with after my information that bothers me. If it listened to what you said, did whatever you wanted to do, and then deleted itself right afterwards, that'd be fine. But instead, what it does is it listen to what you say, it does what you want it to do, and then it saves it and lets anybody who it feels like needs to know or wants to know about it and know about what you're talking about.
See, it wouldn't, saving it has a purpose, I guess, as in, because obviously they can learn context and stuff like that based on previous stuff. That's fine. Yeah. I can deal with that. It works like YouTube recommends, so it doesn't really work. But it thinks it works. But the fact that it's then it's easy for those companies to get at is really annoying. And the fact that they're always listening is really spooky.
Yeah.
Because in work we have an Echo Show right next to the sort of till desk. We have a HomePod which we got like a month ago, and we've I think 3 more Echoes of varying different versions, and they're all just always listening, and it's really spooky. Side note, the HomePod is just terrible. Like, the speaker's really good, but it doesn't know any of my music.
I'm going to point out something right quick. You mentioned YouTube recommends. YouTube recommends has me so wrong, and YouTube has become super biased. I get on the YouTube and I watch Fox News stuff all the time. I like Sean Hannity. I like Justice Janine. I like all those people, and I watch them like a lot. And in my recommends, you want to know who they actually want to show me? They want to show me CNN, MSNBC, all these people that are the complete opposite of Fox, rather than what I'm actually interested in.
Good point.
It's crazy.
My YouTube recommends just goes kind of insane every time I watch a video that I wouldn't normally watch. Like, I watched a video about air traffic control about a month ago, and ever since, most of my recommended videos are about air traffic control.
Oh my gosh. What bugged me the most was, and I have a comment in chat I would like to read for those of you listening on a hearthis.at. Actually, quick read that comment. Creature says, what makes me mad is when you're in class and you're assigned something with prawns and your phone hears something else. That's what makes me mad. That's I can understand being an annoyance. But what bugged me the most, and I've ranted about YouTube so many times, is that YouTube has completely changed how my subscription feed looks, to the point where actually I think I'm actually missing some YouTubers now, and now some YouTubers are actually saying, before their videos to please, they're like, hey, turn it's like, hey, enable notification, subscribe to Tech Quickie and hit the notification bell so you always stay updated on the latest videos. That's what they say, and Linus's Tech Quickie videos, or any video for that matter. And now, but then it's like, but I don't want to get spammed with, for example, an example of somebody who might spam the Roland YouTube channel. Roland is a music company. They make musical instruments. When they upload tutorial videos, my gosh, do they spam to high heaven. And I'm like, Roland, calm down. You've just wrecked my entire subscription feed. And Tomb Raider, the official Tomb Raider YouTube channel, again, they upload a trailer that is basically just audio and 6 different languages. But it gets spammed. And I'm like, I don't need to see, just show me the English only. Hello?
That's all I want is English.
Just learn other languages then. God.
I'm sorry, but I can't learn another language right now.
It's too hard. Do you know why? And also the other reason why?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. Exactly.
I've completely stopped using my subscriptions feed because of, you'll get, say, the Renoise one, when they decide to upload, they will upload 15 videos within 10 minutes.
Wow.
And so you have to just scroll right through. I'm only using the recommended and stuff, or what you've missed or something on the front page. So I end up missing every video ever, but at least I'll see something worthwhile. Maybe.
The dramatic voices are the best. Thank you, Creature. But yeah, no. Again, sort of, I want to bring this back around a little bit here. Yes, this is an interesting thing that's being used in the European countries for the right to be forgotten. That's definitely pretty cool. I find it interesting. I wish there was something like that in the US. I know, one other side note, I do know that there is an extension in Chrome that is actually a my choice or my opt-out, whatever. You can get in the Chrome store. I don't know if there's one for Firefox or Opera or anything, but you can. It's supposedly supposed to make it that your right to privacy, whatever, does, you're allowed to keep that and stuff. I don't know how well it works. I haven't really noticed anything per se. Maybe I just have ad block on too much. I don't even notice at all.
It's built into Vivaldi as well.
What's it called?
Vivaldi. It's a fork of Chrome that's essentially privacy oriented.
Ooh, get me a link. I'd love to check that out, actually. I'd love to see how that works.
I've been using it for a while. It actually handles memory better than Chrome as well.
Really? Then I'm definitely interested, because I use something better for streaming, actually. Or for when I'm doing streams and stuff. Right now I'm using Firefox, and it's not too bad, though. But yeah, I'm interested. So, we're going to head and move along the article train, because, again, we're pushing an extended episode, which is perfectly fine, because it's always, it happens when you have, like, 3 people. It's perfectly all right. But, Gertron, I believe this is your article, and one of my community members suggested this article about a student walkout, apparently.
Yes.
Would you care to take this?
National school walkout. And what's interesting about this is the whole idea, what they said they were going to do, was they were going to be showing their solidarity with all the school shootings and the lives lost. They were going to show, a moment of silence, which instead turn into a giant, it just turned into a giant festival of them bashing the NRA and going liberal, basically.
Special snowflake for the win.
Yes. And not only that, I've done a little bit more research on this, and there were a lot of students that when they walked out, they didn't just go out and just do protests on the gun deal. There were actually areas where they jumped on police cars and destroyed police cars, and then went into stores, and it was basically a whole nother riot. So rather than showing solidarity with the lives that were lost, they just caused even more problems. And this particular article is about a 16-year-old in Minnesota, a student, that he didn't leave because he didn't fully support the movement behind the National School Walkout. Because I have yet to have heard many good ideas, the movement seems too vague for my liking. No, told CNN. Yes, this is a CNN article. I decided to give it a try. Yep. And I would not like to associate myself with something I could end up disagreeing with in the future. And
I like the quote at the end of the CNN article, which actually is pretty interesting. Austin17 says he's a staunch Republican who carries a copy of the Constitution in his pocket every day. I wish more U.S. citizens would please carry the U.S. Constitution in their pocket, because we need to be reminded of what that Constitution says. He says, I do support federal background checks, and I'm not completely against raising the age to 21 to buy firearms, Austin said. But he strongly disagrees with the idea of banning assault rifles, saying that they can be useful when confronted with multiple burglars or other criminals. Guns are not the problem, Austin said. The people are the problem. And I have been annoyed beyond belief with this. I'm to the point where I'm actually waiting for us to have the first U.S. trial where we put an assault rifle up to the stand to be questioned.
And I'm trying to get this one of my articles I post up on Facebook, but right now Facebook's going to be there we go. Okay, the current 2018 U.S. death toll: abortion, 1,307 deaths. Tobacco, 33,000 deaths. Obesity, 38,000 deaths. Medical error, 31,000 deaths. Alcohol, 12,000 deaths. Suicide, 5,000 deaths. Drunk driving, 4,000 deaths. Poisoning, 3,000 deaths. All drug abuse, 3,000 deaths. Prescription drugs, 1,800 deaths. Murder by guns, only 1,400 deaths.
Interesting.
So I'm sorry, guns aren't. I mean, they're killing people. Yes, but
it's the people.
There's a lot of other things out there that are a lot worse than guns killing people. I mean, if you want to protest against something, protest against abortions. I mean, and they do that. When was the last time you heard about people protesting against tobacco? Just has already killed almost 44,000 people. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna preface this with my whole life I've lived in a country where there's basically no gun, especially compared to what you have over there. But I will say that say Ireland, just as an example, we have a total firearm death rate of something like 1, right? I forget I think it's per 100,000 or something. We have 1. And the US was something like 11.
Mm-hmm.
And so, while no, it's not the major cause of death in the country, it's still considerably higher than all of these other countries without guns everywhere.
I think what, and I've heard this discussed, and I've even discussed it in my own personal family about this, that it's, obviously no, it's not the gun, but the other issue is that the more gun laws that you make, the easier you've actually made it for the criminals to do what they unfortunately do too well. And because of us restricting the ability for us to protect ourselves, I mean, backing up a little bit here, our great ancestors owned firearms for hunting, and they used firearms for defending. But those are the only instances that firearms were ever used, was just for those two purposes: for defending yourself if somebody meant to do you harm, or for hunting to simply survive to get food at the end of the day, basically. And guns are a integrated part of the U.S. culture and history as a whole. And I'm sorry, but no gun law is going to make this happen any less. You can try, but it's not going to work. And
guns are an integral part of many countries.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, it is.
It's including Ireland, where we still would have a comparatively high firearm homicide rate compared to, say, other European countries. However, we don't have legal carry. We don't have legal ownership of guns without I think in some places you can have a gun that you can bring up to a range, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot use it for self-defense. You cannot do whatever.
Oh, wow.
I don't think you can even have it in your home.
Oh. Interesting. Creature says
guns are such a massive part of us being liberated from the UK.
Yeah.
That's sort of how we did it.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Hikari. I was about to read a reference in chat. Gertrude, would you actually go ahead and read this chat message, if you would, please, by Creature?
Okay. Creature, please. My problem with gun control people are they're trying to ban the scary guns, and the fact of the matter is that any of the school shootings, if any of the teachers' staff and I believe you mean had a firearm on them, the death toll would have been much lower. And that if there were proper background checks, the whole incident would have been avoided. More restrictions you put on something, the more common it is prohibition. And those who don't know what prohibition is, prohibition was when alcohol, I believe it was alcohol, was straight up banned and illegal. You couldn't have it. That increased alcohol usage even more. Now, I am going to make a point here.
Go ahead.
In the case of what happened in Florida, the deputies and the police officers did not do what they were supposed to do. There is a standing policy. A couple things they did wrong. While the shooting was going on, there's a standing policy. If you hear gunshots, if you're a police officer, you are to go towards the shots and stop that person by all means. We saw the deputies on that property standing outside the door as the shots were going on, knowing full well what was going on in there, and they chose to do nothing. Now, before that happened, the FBI and the police had received multiple inquiries, multiple calls, multiple information sources saying that this kid is going to cause trouble and is going. I mean, he put on a YouTube video or a Twitter feed. Well, he wants to be the first professional school shooter.
Oh, that's
And the
weird.
FBI and the police had this information. They did nothing with it. If they would have followed their own policies, that incident in Florida would have never happened.
Yeah.
At least not by that kid's hands, because something would have happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now, the philosophy that I heard when it came to the idea of teachers having firearms in their desks is that, what if the kids, for whatever, try to break in and take the teacher's gun? But I mean, again, that's I don't know how they would really actually do that. No, go ahead.
Arming the teacher, as I say, this is from complete outsider's perspective. But surely arming the teacher is a ridiculous concept. Like, you arm the teacher, and the teacher dies first.
Sure.
That's
Hey,
it.
here's the
That's
thing.
all that changed.
I watched it was about a 30-minute long YouTube video about this Christian Baptist school. They actually did drills with the entire school on active shooters. They trained students, the high schoolers. Obviously, the littler kids, they just learned how to hide and whatnot. The high schoolers were actually trained on how to attack people who came in with guns. I mean, they had police officers there with fake M16s and pistols, and training them on how to get that gun out of their hand and tackle them.
Yeah.
And then they also were talking about how the principal openly said she carries a gun every day. And then there were 5 other teachers in the school that had guns as well, but she said, we're not telling you which teachers they are, because then we know those are the ones that the bad guy's going to go to first.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's how it actually, I believe, would work out. If a teacher had a gun, the only person who knows that teacher has a gun is probably local authority and the principal. That'd probably be about it. It'd be a very tight-knit circle.
Except that you've gone ahead and announced that the teachers might be getting guns.
Yeah.
Like, that's already a thing that's happened. It's based,
It's in public consumption basically now. Public information. Is what you're saying.
Well, you're not arming every single teacher with
No, I get
you're
that.
only
but
arming those who are
the
properly
fact that it's a
trained and
possibility
adequate.
is now public knowledge.
And that by itself is a deterrent, because if somebody believes that there might have a gun, they may not go in there anyways, even if there is no guns in there, because now there's the possibility of there being a gun in there. There was another school, I don't remember the exact wording, but on the front of their school, they had one of those banners that basically said, our teachers are armed and are ready to, take you out if you decide to do something here.
But
Basically to that effect.
surely, I don't know how exactly it's going to work, because I'll admit I haven't looked into it enough, probably. At least this specific thing of arming the teachers. But surely they're not having it on their person. Right, because as far as I heard, maybe some states or something, but as far as I was aware, most places this would be happening, it would be, locked in whatever thing or something like that. So
some of them, from what I understand, it will be on their person or at their desk in their drawer or something, a locked drawer or whatever. But
the other thing
at the very least they could do. They don't want to arm the teachers. They need to have. There has been talk about having military vets, veterans posted up in schools, or having more police officers in the school locations that are actually trained and better than the security officer at the Florida school that decided to stand out the door as 20 people were being gunned down, rather than going in there and doing what he was paid to do, which was in front of that bullet, stop that guy with the gun.
I think the only concept that bugs me about this is the fact that if you put the if the gun is in a desk, okay, and the gun's locked theoretically, that means the teacher has to, okay, because you have to act very quickly. So that means the teacher has to go into their pocket, they have to pull the key out, they have to put the thing in, turn it, pull it out, and arm themselves. Okay, and like
Okay.
Yeah.
It depends on where the shooter's at. Obviously, if the shooter is in the room with the teacher, yeah, probably an issue. But if the student's on the other side of the campus, it gives the teacher plenty of time to open it up and get it. And if there are multiple teachers that are armed, if that student's in one classroom and going in there, then the teacher in the other classroom right down the hall can hear those gunshots, by the way. All of a sudden, they're pulling out their guns. I mean, it covers each other.
But that's still a school shooting. 6 people dead, whatever. It's still a school shooting.
It's better
it hasn't
than
reduced.
One person time, please.
Okay.
Like there's still people dying unnecessarily.
But it's less.
Whether no, well, it's less, but it's not. That's not less by enough.
I mean, it's going to lessen the amount of people actually killed. I mean, what's? I mean, they're both bad. Both is bad. If one person dies versus 100 people dying, it's still bad. The fact of the matter is, if there are armed security guards in there and it can take down the threat a lot quicker, it's fewer people dead, and that's the win in my book.
The only
but it's still the threat that's there. It's
what I'm.
You look at this as like this is the only country that has guns has this happening. It must be the people. That's just ridiculous to me.
It's the people.
I
went to a school that
every other country.
I went to a school that had metal detectors, X-ray scanners that we had to put our backpacks through, and when the last bell rang for a school to be starting, the doors all automatically locked. The only way you can get in is by pushing a buzzer and speaking to the person inside, giving them a good reason why you're there, and they got a camera right there as well. And then they let you in, and you immediately have to go to the office to sign yourself in after you get in the door. I mean, those are protections. Every school should have that, by the way. I don't care if you're a backwater school. I don't care if you're a prestigious school. You need to have medical detectors and X-rays.
Let me quick jump in here.
The problem I have with that is that, at least where I'm from, that has never been something that has been even remotely necessary.
Right,
but
and
it's never been a problem.
Unfortunately, yes, it is.
Problem.
Yes, unfortunately, it is necessary in the U.S. The only thing that I would like to, and I'd like to, I didn't mean to start like an argument here. I would like to try to promote healthy conversation.
This is fun for me.
I want to have some healthy conversation with this if possible. But the only thing that kind of like irks me a little bit is that I thought that is what school security was for, because some schools have school security that they're there to be the first line of defense.
And obviously, that's what the security guard at the Parkland, Florida school was supposed to be there for, but he did not do his job. Now,
okay.
I'm going to point out something that I read. I can't pull up the article right now because I'm not exactly sure where it's actually at, but I read that some of the New York City schools that used to have armed guards and police officers, they decided to pull them out. For whatever reason, they felt like guns weren't allowed on the property anymore, and they pulled the security guards out. It was their problem. That was horrible. I just think that there should be somebody armed at the school that is actually willing to lay their life down for students. Obviously, the security guard at the Florida school wasn't willing to do that. I believe that a teacher would be more willing to do that because they've taught these students, they have more of a connection. How about you? I didn't really know my security guard too well because the only time I ever had to talk to her was when I was getting in trouble, which didn't happen often.
I think really what this comes back down to, honestly, is that it obviously comes back to a moral issue, which is a very large subject that I will not get into at the present time because I would like to try to keep moving forward with our articles. And a better subject to have off stream, perhaps, actually. Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to really, it's a moral issue, and the guy at the Florida shooting unfortunately had some mental issue that was unfortunately, in hindsight, was not caught, but that is the way that it is, unfortunately. You know, I still would agree with Austin in this article that it is not the guns, it is the individual user who made the choice to do whatever it is, whether you agree with it or not. That is still ultimately what it comes down to. So I feel like we're beating a bit of a dead horse. If you gentlemen do not mind, I would like to move on to our last few articles, if that's okay with both of you. Very interesting discussion, though. Thank you, and also for the chat for being involved with this. I appreciate it. Moving on. So let's take a moment of silence for the death of, oh my gosh, more death. The death of AOL Instant Messenger. That is not planned. I will now play sad music. Dearly beloved, we gathered here today to honor the passing of AOL, a popular instant messenger. In October, when the auth, the Verizon subsidiary that owns AOL, announced they'll be shutting down the services on December 15th, Americans who came out of the age of the 90s basically nostalgically mourn the loss of a childhood staple. Who here used AIM?
I did. And the only reason I did was because while I was in high school, everybody got a MacBook. It was a temporary deal. We didn't get to keep it permanently. It was only while we were at school. So I used AIM.
I used...
Wasn't iChat based on AIM or something like that?
I don't know, actually.
I believe it was.
I used...
I never had it, sorry.
No, go ahead. Take
I never had it because, you know, somehow we didn't, you know, America Online wasn't massively popular outside of America.
Right, yeah.
If it's called America Online, I mean, it makes sense that
I actually forgot that's what AOL stood for, in all honesty. It's funny. I remember using AIM a little bit because at the time there was no Facebook Messenger. There was only dial-up. Oh my gosh, dial-up and AIM. Oh, that is nostalgic as you can get.
Wait, hold up.
Oh wait. Yes, you would have it. I know you do.
Of course I have it.
Yeah, wait for it. As he looks for it. Oh, yes. You know, okay, now let's talk about something. What is...
It's not done. It's not done. You and I both know.
I have the shorter version.
When it starts up, it takes a while, and you better hope nobody's listening.
That as well, like, I remember the days of like having to use the computer to warm up a bit.
Now the dial-up actually... well, I used to have it.
On the internet's not possible.
Well, I was gonna say, I used to have the dial-up box. Now I have to say, my dial-up box actually had a shorter sound. It only went up to like, and then stopped. So I have the short. Mine was shorter. But can someone tell me what is all that unnecessary garbage? That noise, though.
It's the way it communicates.
Have you ever accidentally called a fax line rather than an actual telephone line?
I did, and I just got a loud beep in my ear.
Yeah, it's essentially the same sort of
like that. Yeah.
Huh.
I end up calling fax machines at least once or twice a day because of my job. And
people still use faxes.
Yeah, we still use faxes.
I mean, yes,
we used fax for doing some stuff with my family recently in the last 2 months. We had to use a fax to send stuff off to hospitals. Yeah, we still use fax. It's still a thing.
I haven't seen, like, because one of the parts of my job is that I do call-outs to random companies.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a fax machine in like 10 years.
Medical people use faxes all the time. My company processes thousands upon thousands of faxes a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the medical industry still use faxes. Now, a lot of them use what is called an electronic fax, which they don't actually have an actual fax machine. It's all done over the web.
Yeah.
But there are still places, definitely in the medical industry, that still use straight up fax machines.
Wow. That's crazy.
Surely it's just easier to email.
And Creature
There's
asks,
less setup about that.
Creature asks, and I'm not going to. WTF does a fax machine even look like? It looks like a printer with a phone connected to it.
Basically. Well, for example, I have the Epson WS something. It's like a scanner, printer, fax machine, and document scanner. It's an all-in-one system for that. And I have it downstairs in our living room, and we actually did have to use a fax because the reason, and especially in the medical industry, that you have to hand sign things, and they need copies of certain things, especially for certain, as Gertrude said, medical systems. They need handwritten stuff of signatures for documentation, unfortunately. And the funny part of it is that we're supposed to live in a paperless computer age, and yet we still use fax. So we're not. I don't think we are never going to go paperless at all. That's not going to happen.
We use graphics tablets for our signatures.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. When they work.
Yeah.
And my laptop it's like digitizers made by Wacom, so it has.
Wacom's amazing. Yeah.
So you have a super accurate, tablet surface to do signatures on. Rather than you ever get, I don't know how common they are over there, but you have to sign for packages. Do you sign paper, or do you get that horrible PDA from 20 years
ones
ago?
UPS uses PDA, and in certain Right Time Care Center they make you use a iPad for signing your name. But the thing is that iPad doesn't respond to pens. That's the annoying part.
Yeah, you can get them, but they're really they're made of the end of it is like rubber or something, so it just ends up dragging against the glass.
Oh,
so it's really uncomfortable to write on.
I think,
but at least it's slightly better than the screen on the PDA updating once per 10 seconds, and so you just can't do any sort of writing on it.
PDA's public displays of affection. No, PDA personal. What was it? Personal something.
Personal data
assistant.
Give me.
Trying to research and development, man.
Trying to find my PDA.
Of course, it's not wanting to actually. Wow. Okay. The definition of PDA: a palm-top computer that functions as a personal organizer, but also provides email and internet access. It doesn't actually want to tell me what the actual PDA means.
Okay, I'm gonna do Google search.
I searched PDA and it gave me parental drug association.
Wow.
And when I do PDA acronym, the first thing that pops up is the displays of affection. However,
personal digital assistant.
Thank you. That's the correct term. Yes.
Or Progressive Democrats of America, which we all know is also interesting.
Interesting time, though, we should not get into ever.
Right. We have one last article. And actually, this is kind of funny. I have a bit of a side story here. So from my childhood, I took a really old toolbox, and I threw paper into it of things I collected as a kid. Kids have paper boxes and stuff. At least I did. And inside the paper box was a drawing I made of what is now the smartphone. It's funny that I found this piece of paper of the concept idea of having a watch and a phone as one. Decades later, we have it. I actually apparently must have predicted it, and it came to be.
I miss calculator watches.
Well, we're talking about watches because Ford Mustang parts being turned into luxurious watches. Let me see if I can unmute this tab and play this in for the... Let's see how this goes. This is from
0
Fox.
to 60 seconds. A European company is creating luxury watches made from parts of classic cars. Wreck watches incorporate salvaged materials from vehicles like the Ford Mustang into their timepieces. Joining us now is the CEO and co-founder of Wreck Watches, Jonathan Kampstrup. Jonathan, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So Jacob and I have taken the liberty of putting some of these watches on. They're absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Describe the process of turning an iconic car into one of your watches.
Right. right. So the process is actually captured in the name as well. REC Watches is short for Recover, Recycle, Reclaim, which is the entire concept of the company. What we do is that we find these old classic cars, which are what we like to call beyond repair. So it's not like a classic Mustang ready to hit the road, but something salvage. We usually find these in barns, in auctions, anywhere we can get our hands on them. We recycle the material, primarily the chassis of that car, and reclaim it as a new watch. So that's REC times 3 and the namesake of the company.
How much do they run? So I think this is the Mustang watch, and this one is which one?
This one is made from classic Porsche 911s, actually.
Wow, which one is the 911?
This one.
Okay,
the one with the orange. But compared to comparable watches, these are pretty reasonably priced, owning a Tag Heuer Monaco.
They are. So all of the watches you're looking at here today are automatics, which means they're mechanical movements. That in itself is a whole story. But these watches retail from $1,500 US to roughly $2,000.
Only for the rich.
This one's about close to $2,000.
Yeah, this one's $1,800 if I recall correctly.
Wow.
So
It's
basically,
very big watches, though.
I'm gonna end just that. So that's from Fox News Business. I won't play the whole thing because copyright and all that. But credit to Fox News Business for the original video. Okay, first of all, oh my gosh, I could have a field day rant about things for the rich, but this is things for the rich, and
Bitcoins for the rich.
Oh yeah, no. If you got Bitcoin, you can totally buy. Yeah, totally buy one of these. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. But the concept of recycling old cars, I think that's pretty cool. Actually, it kind of gives. It doesn't let them. It means that they don't sit in landfills. Doesn't means they don't take up space. It means that they actually get to be. There was a phrase off of a TV show. It was like a kids TV show. Was like be nice, use it twice, or something like that. But that's really cool. Like recycled watches, guys, concepts or comments rather.
I think it's a good idea. I would love to see them use military planes, old military planes.
Ooh, like a B, was it like a B-22 or 24? I don't know, it was like a really popular World War II plane. But yeah, that'd be really cool.
The B-22 bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I believe.
Have you guys seen Brutus?
Seen what?
Brutus.
No.
The car.
I haven't.
It was a car built. The engine was from I think a German, like World War II fighter.
Oh wow!
And, he converted it into a car, and apparently it's the worst thing on the planet to drive because obviously it's not exactly designed for roads or cornering or anything.
That's crazy. But yeah, that's really cool. Like again, another win for technology. Using things more than once. I would love to see more things. I mean, imagine taking old circuit boards and turning them into watches. That's some great e-recycling right there.
That would be cool.
But yeah, no,
wait, isn't that what Apple Watches are though? I mean, they're basically an old circuit board that they just refurbished into an Apple Watch.
I don't know. Hikari comments about you have some Apple stuff. What do you think? Okay, what do you guys? Okay, here's an interesting concept. Do you think that watches are still relevant with smartphones?
Yes.
Really?
Phones are relevant.
It's just more convenient, isn't it? Like if you only want to check the time, it's much more convenient to just look at your wrist than go into your pocket and grab your phone, press the button.
Yeah.
I used to have a watch, and I used to wear watches like they never left my wrist. I don't wear watches anymore. I'm happy about that. But I will tell you, I have 3 different devices on my desk, technically 4, that tell me what time it is because I gotta know what time it is.
Ironically, I still have a watch myself. It's just a regular analog watch that I wear.
See, technically, I have something like 7. Maybe 8 or 9 devices that tell me the time because Windows 10 does that really annoying thing where it puts taskbars on every single one of your monitor.
You can actually turn that off,
I know, but it's just because I'm only using it mostly in a VM, And I'm not using it for that much stuff. It's a lot more effort than it's worth.
Yeah.
But VMs support multiple screens, and that's fun.
Right.
So I can have 6 monitors tell me what the time is. I can have my phone, a crappy, Android tablet that I use for basically nothing anymore, and a couple of smartwatches.
There you go. So, all right, well, we're going to head and wind down the show. It has been a very long, extended episode. Hikari, thank you for joining us again. I'd like to give a round of applause for Hikari for joining us for the show today. It was a very fun, nostalgic run with you. Gertrude, as always, thank you for being a part of the show and being an amazing host.
Thank you.
But yeah,
You're an amazing host as well.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, we will be back in 2 weeks, because we're doing every other Saturday now for an episode of the Morning Metro. And thank you to everybody who participated in chat. For those of you who will be listening on Monday for the episode, thank you, and have yourselves an awesome week, and we will catch you all next time.
Next time.
Wrong screen.
Later, nerds.